Welcome back. We're here on page 17 in part 1. Here is the first image of the page. We're going to save this. Uh, and let's go file open as layers. I have to say, so far, this is a story where it's going slow for mechanical reasons. I'm actually not worn out on this one yet. Thank God. I'm like still into this one. I think I've been doing this so long where it's become kind of rote, and at times it feels more like work than fun. But this has been an oddly fun project, just watching Roger here be miserable for 16 pages, and now we're on page 17, and he's still getting worse and worse. Feels like I'm a nobody. Oops, there we go. I'm a nobody. It's ever been in my lifetime. Hmm. Oops. Okay, that looks good. So we take the box, and if you saw the last video I did, here's where I readjust this one. Actually, I think I can just use it. Let's see, where is the text? We just go like that. Okay. It's like here it's like, okay, I'm sort of like kind of working here and losing the thoughts. But layer to image size. Oop. Grow. Um, let's start over. Okay. So here we just put this. I just put this set together real quickly. I just used an sort of an out of the box set I picked up in the DAS store at some point last year, and add a new layer. And I sort of added the trash from another product, threw in a couple of crows just to make it interesting. These little guys to make it more interesting. Because these scenes in the outdoor city are sort of like one-off shots, so I don't need anything overly complicated. But um, just out of curiosity, this was a set I've used before. The product is called. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Probably not, but City Streets. So this is a product called City Streets. I'm going to save this real quick, but this was a product I've used bits and pieces of before. So I think let's go zoom out on this one. So in the Iron Brotherhood Tyler, in the set I created with the office building for Solix, I think was that the name of the company, for Solix, I used this building on the end to put next door, so that when I do a couple of shots in the hallway, looking across to the end of the building, where you had that big glass window and the side door, I just basically used this building as sort of something to block the view. Put something there so that like you wouldn't see to make it look like the set was part of something bigger. But I think the building was blurred, so you wouldn't have really seen it. And also, in one of the shrimp, I want to say it was one of the Shrimp at the House stories, I forget which one, but I used this alley to create a scene for a video game. Actually, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. The scene from a video game. This is the alley. And also, talking about reuse, I think, I'm not 100% sure, because like this is like the back side of the guy, but I think this might have been the guy I used on the previous page here. In the second panel, where he's got the truck backing up to the containers. I just needed a generic guy, but so yeah, some of these get reused. What I'm going to do now is, let's see, I saved this, so I'm going to delete everything. Delete. Hey, let's focus on him. I'm going to change this back to just so the aspect frame is out of my way. And speaking of out of the box sets, here's another one I'm only going to use for a couple of panels, maybe the page at the most. So we're just going to use this one out of the box. Burger restaurant. The idea is that he's been looking for a job. Everybody's basically turned him down, and it's been real insulting. So now he's going for basically minimum wage fast food worker. It's sort of how low can he sink here. Okay, so I'm just going to deselect it so it doesn't. You may also recognize this. I used this set in. I also used this set in one of the Shrimp of the House stories. It might have been Showtime. I think it was Showtime when he and his new girlfriend come here out after school one day on a semi date. Oops, I don't want the hand. Just the floor, okay. Control D to see if he's on the floor, and there he is. Actually, I know I'm thinking about this for a minute. Burger place. I think. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna cheat here a little bit. Let's delete the burger restaurant, and I'm going to merge. Click the merge file icon instead of open file, and I'm gonna come in here, and we're gonna go into the Shrimp of the House folder under files, and I'm gonna open the burger place file from this one. The reason being because this file already has a city street landscape outside the window. So I might be able to save a little bit of time just using the same file and deleting Jackson and his girlfriend. But I probably won't get that lucky. Okay, so yeah, shopping precinct. There we go. There we go. Yeah, see. And the roof. What is MISC? Oh, it's all that junk. Okay, so let's put ceilings on just for the heck of it. Okay, yeah, see? And we got these two. And like there's part of me that's tempted to leave them in there to see if anyone notices, but I don't really want to make this into the same universe. Oh my god. Shoot. You know what? We've got other things turned off, so let's turn. Oh, okay. That's MISC. I've got to tuck the shirt in here because because it doesn't really, the morph on the shirt doesn't really work quite right, so I've always got to adjust the tucking when it's tucked in. Let's turn in 180 degrees. Make him look frustrated. And I've heard like these kind of ordering systems have been popping up, and I never really encountered them until like this winter when I like took a road trip to go visit my brother for Christmas, and I stopped in a McDonald's on the way home. God, what a pain in the butt. Because it's like you're supposed to order and then go sit down, and they're supposed to bring it to you and bring the order, and it's like, oh, where's the drink? Oh, it's over at the counter. Like, what? So you bring half the order and leave the other half behind? It's like, what? What the heck? You know what? I'm gonna go interrupt. Outer dabs. Like that. And let's go up just a little. Before I render this, what I also want to do is let's retexture. We filter by context, so I don't have to worry about this. Because the impression I want to give is that time is passing, that all this is not happening in the same day. So this is going to be 05-01 because this is going to be a new day. And we're going to do a wide shot because I want to make it clear that we're in a fast food place here. And you want him looking small. So let's see here. Back home, it feels like I'm a nobody. Just to feel like I'm useful again. Let me put a border on this. I don't want layer. My finger is slipping on the button here. Okay, new layer. Um, Edit, cut. But on the previous page, that was sort of giving a brief glimpse into his wartime days. That actually took probably a full day to deal with that. Because, let me take a box here. Control C. Because with that one, that's another that was largely another outside the box product. Um, Okay, that looks good. But um, uh, it's loading a lot of junk put by the pit, and then like I had initially set it up, set up the what am I doing? Set it up with the flame. I'm kind of like not dealing with a coherent thought here, but shoot. It was an outside the box product, but I ended up taking a ground piece for another product and kind of messing with that to make it fit within the geometry of the initial product, cutting a hole in the ground plane to fit the second ground piece, the hole, the actual pit, and then having to kind of make the mesh because the pit isn't a flat. The top of the pit, the ground level, isn't a flat piece, so it needed a little bit of work. And then initially, I threw in a couple of spheres into the hole and sort of like distorted them a little bit to kind of fill the pit rather than look like a perfect circle. We got to invert, grow, invert, edit, cut. Oh no, there we go. And then just sort of colored them to make them look like fire. And I was initially happy with it and saved that. And then when I came back for for that one panel, popped in the junk for the particular scene, and then oh shoot, I've got one too many lights in here, so let's cancel that. Okay. So I want the advanced light. I want these two, right? Delete. Okay. I'm still in 3D light. I'm in. Okay. So let's render that. Headshot. Boom. I think I can close that. But show you so you know what I'm talking about. So it's like, I'll show you a deleted picture. This is the rendered image. And the idea was that this was sort of a glowing effect. You weren't actually going to see flame. It was just going to kind of glow. And let's see, there was the finished. Once I threw like a smoky layer over it, and I thought it was fine until I went and rendered the scene, and then I'm like, God, it looks more like a lava pit or something. So I ended up having to find some flame textures. This is a flame texture applied to a plane that's sitting like upright, And then I used the flame texture to create an opacity map so that it would make everything else invisible, because the flame texture wasn't a blank um, image. Like when you see me doing layers, um, when I'm rendering an image with it where I've got large empty areas, you'll see a blank. Let's go to, so for example, let's take, how about, so yeah, right here. So it's like when I do layers, um, all this is an empty layer. It's only black here in the photo, but when I load it into GIMP, this is basically I think it's called alpha layer. There's nothing here. This is completely see-through all around him. But unfortunately, like, the flame image was a solid image, so it had to be turned into an opacity map to make it work. And then I had to play around because the flames would look right in the viewport, but they were rendering blue. So it took a few tries to get it to work right. Um, and another thing, you probably won't notice it, but um, this scene is sort of a hint to sort of the future of the book. So these two, so while this is sort of like sort of a little bit of a younger, sort of slimmer version of Roger, his two buddies here are going to pop up later in the story. We're going to see like the older, out of shape version of these two later on. So these two aren't just random characters. Like, these two are these I just these were just like two characters in a generic folder I had that I popped in for just for this scene, um, but the two in this other scene, if it ever, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. See, there's the burger restaurant. It's coming along nicely. Oh, there's my image. Yay! But these two are gonna pop up in the story later, so I sort of wanted to see them. And two, when I do this picture too, I wonder like how many of you, when you're reading the story, come across this picture and feel like it's foreshadowing something. This one's going to fall into the category of the muscle growth stories. I think if sort of check out a lot of muscle growth stories people write online, there's a bit of a formula to them. So, I'm sitting there putting this image together, and wondering if any of you are going to pick up on what the formula, on like what the particular MacGuffin is going to be, what the what the particular device is going to be in this story. Like, oh my god. 6 minutes. See, this is why this story has been taking so long, is because these images are these images are just taking forever. But then again, like if you watch the last video, I think it came in almost an hour and a half long, which is long for these. And that didn't even include, all the dead time that I cut out waiting for these images to render. But yeah, like, if you ever get inspired to like do something like this yourself, the simpler the scenes, the quicker they'll render. The more complicated you make them, the longer they'll take. Or it's sort of, and two, it's like the more polygons in a scene, the more complicated it becomes. So the hairstyle and a lot of this too is the hairstyle I'm using on Roger is, if I'm not mistaken, like basically each hair is an individual prop, where normally um, I'll use a hair where it's just a series of planes, and the hair texture is pasted on the planes to give it the look that it's a hairstyle. I think I could be wrong, but I think the term is that those are transmapped, and this is probably fiber mesh. So the fiber mesh take longer to render. And it's sort of similar to sort of body hair projects I was using in earlier works from, I think, little bro up through the Iron Brotherhood storyline, where they were pretty much like thousands and thousands of little meshes all over the place. Where the one I'm using here, the product I'm using here is, we've got our image coming up. Save. Let's go File, open as layers. Scale that. So it's the image I'm using here, the body hair product I'm using here, and I've used it in the short tail stories, A New Sort of Diet, um, and the teddy bear, the two teddy bear variants. Uses what's called a geometry shell, and then throws a transparency map onto the geometry shell. What am I doing? Edit, cut, none. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is, now that we're coming over here, I need to populate this with people so it looks like so it doesn't look so dead. That's gonna that's going to be a little bit time consuming and it's probably going to be a little bit boring. So I'm going to cut out, pop in some people, and then I'll come right back in. So I'm a little further along than I planned to be. I loaded a bunch of characters in here, and then it got to being dinner time. So I made dinner and ate dinner, and I kind of was anxious to work on this through dinner. So I ended up grabbing the first two pictures. I think this picture was it took waiting for dinner to cook to get this picture done, and this picture took all of while I was eating dinner. To make one thing is that I've got a bit of poke through on her shirt. I can't see it in the viewport, and since this took almost 20 minutes to render, I'm going to try and fix this in do a cheap fix in GIMP. So I'm going to go, actually, I got to save that. Now we come into here and we open, grab you. Because this is a black shirt, if it's not perfect, you won't really notice it on the page. So we need tools. I need a paint tool. How about pencil? Oops. Oh, you know what? I got sizes. And let's put it on this one. Let's go smaller so I can see what's going on here. And I need a tool. Paint pencil. Where is it? Pencil. Okay. Why is this not? Okay. Is this not? This is not. Let's try paintbrush instead. Let's increase the size a little. Okay, so I guess we'll just do this then. I'll do it incrementally. There, I like that. And if we zoom out, ah, see, you hardly even notice it. And once we make this smaller, you won't see it at all. Oops, it's still cancel. So come here, let's go File, Open as Layer. Make that 34. Yeah, okay. If I cut it here. Yeah, okay. There you kind of see the seat a little bit. Okay. Just kind of pull her forward a little out of the way, bring him forward a little bit. A little bit so we see her. Since we've already seen the other kids, let's. Favorites. Okay. There we go. Change that to number 4 and we'll hit render. And that'll probably take 17 more minutes. So we'll just go here. Now I'm still wondering if I'm going to be able to have kind of if I want. I'm kind of wondering if this I'll end up having the moment I want at the end of this piece. Let's see. And I'm looking for. I'm not going to change that as retired from. I just retired from the army. I'm looking for something to keep me busy. Yeah, that's good. The idea is he's making excuses. So I'm kind of now, I'm wondering if I'll be able to get the moment I want to end this piece. Because I'm actually getting close to the end. And I'm wondering, I'm now sitting here thinking maybe I can have the moment I want capping this part off. But part of me is still thinking no. That sort of like I don't know if you want to call it the cliffhanger or the end of this piece or whatever, is going to be. Oops. Edit. What is going on? Cut. None. I just want to make sure that it's not. That the top of the bottom piece isn't exceeding the space it needs to. So I'm going to merge down. It's still possible because at this point I got 7 more pages, and that's a lot of. 7 pages doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot of story. So it's quite possible the cliffhanger might have to be on his bouncing back. So what I'm looking at now is that page 18 will be select invert. Page 18 is where where he realizes he can't even get a foul. Oh, what am I doing? What is going on? Let's go. Let's start over again. And I'll get this done before I finish that thought. Okay. So it's page 18 will be where he sort of feels even more useless when he can't even get a job flipping burgers. I need to save. And that'll give me 6 more pages. So I figured 2 pages where I think 2 pages where we see he loses Roger sort of for good. Where he realizes like he's lost his wife, he can't get a job. So oh my god. So I think the window is going to be a problem. I think I can cut it off for the window. No, you know what? I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit anytime now. If I zoom in, then I can probably cut this off. Let's twist it a little bit more. I'm just going to modify this a bit. Any favorite stuff. Okay, let's render that. So it's his moment with Wes. What did I tell me I didn't call the kid Roger? His moment with Wes. Here's the thing. His will be 2. Maybe I can get it to 3 pages. So that'll be 21. See, that's the thing. It'll still leave me with 3 pages. I want to sort of see him. You sort of. I do want to do like 1 page where we see him just in utter depression, drinking himself into oblivion. Yeah, actually that'll work. Then I do the page where I sort of the page where I get him at his lowest point. And he realizes he can't even handle that right. He realizes he's a failure. He's even a failure at hitting rock bottom. And then page 20, that's the point. That's sort of the point I wanted to end this story at. But I think page 24 will have. I think I'll end up ending this. I could be wrong. Where he takes notice of the weight bench sitting in the corner of the garage. and that gives him sort of an idea. God, excuse me. Um, so I'm going to cut out for a moment. Probably be back in 20 minutes or so when this renders. And like I said, I'll be back with probably final thoughts at that point. Okay, so that one took 20 minutes, almost 21. But, that said, this burger joint, even without the characters, this is a very, very high poly set. Oops. So then you throw in the characters, and I might as well be rendering an eye. Okay, yeah, that cuts off enough of the window so you won't even know what it is. And I think I've talked before in previous videos about how you can always hide flaws with sets. You don't need them to be perfect. See, so when I cut that off, you have no idea what that is. For all you know, it's you at home reading the book. That's just a different section of the wall. And we'll never see it again. It's for you to find out what it really is. If I didn't tell you, that is. If I hadn't told you. Let's go select invert, shrink, invert, edit, cut, and select none. Merge it down. Save image, flatten, and export. JPEG. We'll hit enter and export. And let's check out that page. Here, back home, it feels like I'm a nobody. The job market is better than it's ever been in my lifetime, and no one will give me work. At this point, I'm ready to take anything just to feel like I'm useful again. I can't believe I'm resorting to fast food for a job, though. You must be Roger. Let's take a seat in the corner and we can talk. I have to admit, you're older or younger, depending on how you look at it, than most of the people who come looking for a job. I just retired from the army, and I'm looking for something to keep me busy. That is page 17. And I hope you enjoyed that, got something out of it. I know it was extremely abbreviated, and yet this video still ends up being about an hour long. And it's just the nature of this project. But, I'm liking it. I've kind of been reading through the pages just to see how it goes, and the flow is, it seems to flow pretty well from what as far as I see. So I will see you next time.